There are moments when you walk into a room and something changes. Nobody says anything, nobody points at you. Yet somehow people notice. Conversations become quieter. Eyes turn in your direction. Someone who has never met you seems strangely curious about you. And sometimes, even when you are nowhere near certain people, they suddenly think about you, talk about you, or feel compelled to reach out. If you have experienced this repeatedly, you may have wondered, why do people seem to notice me before I even say anything? The answer may not be as mysterious as you think. Your presence communicates before your mouth ever opens. And when you have spent enough time growing, healing, becoming disciplined, and learning how to stand comfortably in your own identity, your presence can become powerful. In spiritual language, some people describe this as your energy becoming stronger. They call it an aura, a frequency, a spiritual presence, or simply the atmosphere you carry with you. And that is what we are talking about today, Chosen One. They can feel your energy from miles away. Not because you're trying to prove that you are special, not because you're demanding attention, not because you walk around announcing that you are different. It is because something inside you has changed. There is a difference between someone who desperately wants to be noticed and someone who no longer needs to be noticed. The first person enters a room looking for validation. The second person enters the room carrying peace. And people can feel the difference. Think about the most powerful people you have ever encountered. They were not necessarily the loudest people in the room. They may not have been wearing expensive clothes, they may not have been trying to impress anyone, but somehow you remembered them. There was something about their presence, something calm, something grounded, something difficult to explain. That is what happens when a person stops living entirely from the outside and begins developing something powerful on the inside. Chosen One, your energy becomes noticeable when your inner world becomes stronger than the opinions surrounding you. You stop needing everybody to understand you. You stop explaining every decision. You stop chasing people who constantly make you question your worth. You stop begging for attention. You stop trying to convince people that your heart is good. And slowly something changes. Your silence becomes comfortable. Your presence becomes heavier. Your eyes become calmer. Your words become more intentional. And people notice. Some will admire it. Some will become curious about it. And some may become uncomfortable around it. Why? Because genuine confidence can expose insecurity without saying a single word. When someone has spent years performing for approval, meeting a person who does not need approval can feel strange. When someone is accustomed to manipulation, meeting someone with boundaries can feel threatening. When someone is used to controlling every interaction, meeting someone who cannot easily be controlled can create tension. That does not mean everyone who feels uncomfortable around you is secretly jealous or spiritually threatened. Sometimes people simply have different personalities, experiences, or expectations. But there is a deeper lesson here. Your responsibility is not to control how people respond to your presence. Your responsibility is to control what you carry into the world, because your energy is not merely about mystical ideas, it is also about your habits, your emotional state, your character, your confidence, your integrity, your posture, your eye contact, your tone of voice, the way you listen, the way you respond when someone disrespects you, the way you behave when nobody is watching. All of these things communicate. People may not consciously analyze them, but they feel them. That is why someone can say, "I don't know what it is about you, but there is something different about you." They may not have the vocabulary to explain what they are experiencing. They simply recognize that you are not carrying yourself the way you used to. And Chosen One, perhaps that is the real transformation. Maybe the sign is not that strangers can literally sense you from miles away. Maybe the sign is that you have become so internally different that the people who knew the old version of you can feel that something has changed. You are no longer reacting the same way. You are no longer available for every argument. You are no longer explaining yourself to everyone. You are no longer allowing temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. You have learned to pause. You have learned to observe. You have learned that not every battle deserves your energy. And that kind of maturity creates a presence. There is tremendous power in becoming difficult to provoke. Imagine someone trying to pull you into an argument. The old you might have reacted immediately, The new you pauses. The old you might have written a long explanation. The new you says, "I understand," and continues walking. The old you might have chased someone who was pulling away. The new you recognizes that genuine connection does not require desperation. That transformation is powerful, and people notice it, especially people who remember the person you used to be. They may look at you and think, "What happened to them?" You know what happened? You grew. You went through things that forced you to mature. You experienced disappointments that taught you discernment. You experienced rejection that taught you self-respect. You experienced loneliness that taught you how to sit with yourself. You experienced betrayal that taught you to pay attention to actions rather than promises. And you experienced seasons when you had nobody to lean on except God, your faith, and the strength developing inside you. Those seasons did not destroy you. They refined you, and refinement changes your presence. A person who has survived difficult seasons without becoming cruel carries themselves differently. A person who has learned forgiveness without becoming foolish carries themselves differently. A person who has learned boundaries without becoming bitter carries themselves differently. A person who has learned to walk away without hatred carries themselves differently. That is the kind of energy people can feel. It is not necessarily supernatural. It is the visible result of invisible work. And perhaps this is why you should stop worrying so much about whether people recognize you. You do not need everybody to recognize your journey. You need to recognize it yourself. Because one of the greatest traps of spiritual growth is becoming obsessed with proving that you are spiritually advanced. The moment you constantly need people to call you chosen, powerful, awakened, special, or different, you can lose the very peace you were trying to develop. Real growth makes you quieter. It does not make you arrogant. Real spiritual maturity does not make you believe you are better than everyone else. It makes you understand that everyone is fighting battles you cannot see. So if you truly believe you carry something special, let your character prove it. Let your patience prove it. Let your discipline prove it. Let your kindness prove it. Let your wisdom prove it. Let your ability to remain peaceful under pressure prove it. You do not have to announce your light. Just become the kind of person whose presence brings light into difficult places. Chosen one, there is another reason people may feel your presence strongly. You are becoming comfortable with yourself. That sounds simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Most people spend years performing different versions of themselves depending on who is watching. They change their opinions to fit the room. They laugh when they do not find something funny. They pretend not to care when they care deeply. They pretend to be confident when they are terrified of rejection. But when you become comfortable being yourself, your behavior becomes consistent. You no longer have to calculate every move. You become more authentic. And authenticity is magnetic. People may disagree with you, but they can usually recognize when you are genuine. There is something refreshing about meeting someone who is not desperately trying to sell an image. Someone who can admit, "I don't know." Someone who can say, "I was wrong." Someone who can say, "That hurt me." Someone who can say, "I need time." Someone who can say, "No." That person is powerful because they are not living entirely for the approval of others. And chosen one, perhaps this is the energy you have been developing. Not an energy that says, "Look at me," but an energy that says, "I know who I am." That difference changes everything. People may feel it in your conversations. They may feel it in your silence. They may feel it when you walk away. They may even feel it when they remember you after months or years have passed. Because some people leave an impression without trying, not because they manipulated anyone, not because they demanded attention, but because their presence was genuine, their words carried weight, their kindness felt sincere. Their boundaries were clear, their peace was real, and their character was consistent. That is the kind of presence worth developing. So if you are walking through a season where you feel misunderstood, do not automatically assume that everyone who misunderstands you is against you. Sometimes you are simply growing in a direction that others cannot yet understand, and sometimes, honestly, you may be wrong. Growth requires enough humility to consider that possibility. The chosen one mindset should never become an excuse to avoid accountability. If you hurt someone, apologize. If you make a mistake, correct it. If you need to learn, learn. If someone gives you valuable criticism, listen. Spiritual maturity is not believing you are incapable of being wrong. It is becoming humble enough to keep growing. And that humility makes your presence even stronger, because confidence without humility becomes arrogance. Spirituality without wisdom becomes fantasy. Power without character becomes destruction. But confidence combined with humility becomes strength. Faith combined with wisdom becomes discernment, and personal growth combined with compassion becomes influence. That is the energy you want, not the energy that intimidates people, the energy that inspires people, not the energy that makes people afraid, the energy that makes people feel safe, not the energy that demands respect, the energy that naturally earns it. Chosen one. If people can feel something different about you, do not waste that difference trying to impress them. Use it to become better. Use it to become more disciplined. Use it to become more compassionate. Use it to become more focused. Use it to build something meaningful. Use it to serve people. Use it to protect your peace. Use it to become the person you know you are capable of becoming. Because your greatest power is not being noticed. Your greatest power is becoming someone who does not need to be noticed to remain powerful. And there will come a day when you understand this deeply. You will realize that the people who are meant to recognize your value did not need to be convinced. The right people will feel your sincerity. The right people will respect your boundaries. The right people will celebrate your growth. And the wrong people will eventually reveal themselves through their behavior. You do not need to chase either group. Keep walking, keep growing, keep praying, keep learning, keep becoming. If your presence has changed, let it be because your heart has changed. If your energy feels different, let it be because your life has become more aligned. If people notice you, let them notice your character. Let them notice your peace. Let them notice your discipline. Let them notice how you treat people who cannot do anything for you. Let them notice that you do not have to tear anybody down to feel tall. Let them notice that you can walk into a room without needing to dominate it. Let them notice that you can leave a room without creating drama. Let them notice that you can forgive without forgetting wisdom. Let them notice that you can love without losing yourself. Let them notice that you can stand alone without becoming lonely in your spirit. That is powerful energy. And perhaps the greatest sign that you have truly changed is this: you no longer spend your life wondering who is watching. You are too busy becoming. You are too busy building. You are too busy healing. You are too busy fulfilling the purpose you believe God has placed in your heart. So, chosen one, if they can feel your energy from miles away, let them feel something beautiful. Let them feel peace. Let them feel strength. Let them feel integrity. Let them feel kindness. Let them feel confidence without arrogance. Let them feel faith without judgment. Let them feel a person who has been through the fire and decided not to become fire. And remember this as you leave today. You do not need to convince people that you carry something special. Become so grounded in who you are that your life becomes the evidence. The strongest presence is not the person who walks into a room demanding attention. It is the person who walks in carrying peace. And when that peace is genuine, people feel it. Sometimes from across the room, sometimes from across the city, and sometimes long after you have walked away. That is the kind of energy worth carrying. So protect it, develop it, use it wisely, and never forget that your real power is not in being seen. Your real power is in becoming the person you were created to be, even when nobody is watching. Chosen one, keep going. Your story is not finished. Your transformation is not finished. And the version of you that is emerging may be more powerful than the version of you that had to disappear. Walk in peace, walk with wisdom, walk with humility, walk with faith, and let your life speak louder than your words ever could.